What's up, everybody? Welcome into the Fantasy Football Game Show brought to you by Front Yard Fantasy. I'm your host, Simon, joined by my co-host, John Luke Garofalo, and our special guest and great friend and member of the FYF DDAC Club, Eric Romoff. Eric, thank you so much for taking the time to come and hang with us today.
Yeah, man, I'm looking forward to it. I need a little wake up call after that stinker of a game last night.
Hey, I was talking about a little bit earlier. It may have been a stinker, but at least it was competitive. We've had some Monday night stinkers that weren't competitive. This one, it wasn't good football, but it was close football. I was enticed to watch until the very end. Where some of these Monday night games, I just feel like, why am I going to be tired tomorrow for this?
Yeah, it's true. I'll take competitive garbage over just hot garbage on any day of the week.
Depends how hot that garbage is for me, but yesterday I'll take the competitive garbage. Guys, if you are not familiar with our friend Eric, familiarize yourself. Check him out on Twitter at FantasyNav. You can find his fantasy football work at Dr. Roto Fantasy Sports Football Diehards.com, and he's working over there with our friends at IBT Media, the co-founder of the Pros with Joe's Charity League and Get Screens Media. Make sure you familiarize yourself with each and every one of those things that he's a part of because they're all awesome groups of people. We got people in the chat ready for today's show. Our chat historian Craig coming in with some stats on our guest. Eric is a top 5 member of the FYF DDAC Club. That is the Front Yard Fantasy double-digit appearance club, with today being his 15th show. You've played games 9 times, and you're 4-5 overall, 2-3 in pole perception.
That's a respectable record.
That's a respectable record. And that means today, it's a big game. You're going for 500 on your overall record and on your pole perception record on today's show.
Man, I don't know if I can do it. Like I'm trying to stay like at the steady, like kind of ham and egger, just like right in the middle point. I don't want to go over 500.
You want to be like a Jeff Fisher team right here, just sitting right below 500 at all times.
Level guest.
No, we got to bump those numbers up, Eric. We'll see if you can get to that 500 record today. We got Dustin stopping by and he said, let's go. # Team Joey. I promise not to yell today. Well, you're going to yell right now because Joey is not
gone.
You're going to have to pick a new team.
Fired.
He ran away after you yelled at him, Dustin.
Yeah, guys, he's very skittish. We try to tell you.
We tried to say, Joey, no, not the Woods again. But before we could say
he was gone.
He wasn't even wearing shoes. He just ran right out the door after the show ended. I see Grimfan in the chat said, let's go. Pole perception time. Hype that George Kittle is back, at least for 1 week. Ladarius in here saying good afternoon, all. Hoping all is well with all. What's up, Ladarius? Dame stopping by with the hello, FYF friends. Hello, Dame friends. And Scamper says it's FYF Tuesday with Eric.
Hey,
let's go.
Albert stopping by with the hello, everyone. And Dustin, man, betraying you, Eric. Giving JL the Team JL because it's his wedding week.
I don't want your sloppy seconds, # Team JL, because it's my wedding week when you clearly came in here to say # Team Joey.
It was on a shirt.
Right?
Yeah, that's hard to argue against that when he made a shirt for it and everything.
I mean, a man is only as loyal as his options, right?
True.
Went with the best of the available. Happy wedding week.
Thank you. By the way, I who was it, Albert, who came in yesterday, or who was it? Somebody came in asking Christian Watson or Romeo Dubs yesterday.
That was not me.
It's not you that came. Okay, that's good.
No, I'm eliminating at least one person from this JL.
Oh, okay. Well,
it wasn't Eric.
Someone brought that up yesterday, and I think we all said Watson. And I was just laying up thinking about it before the game, and I was like, man, Dubs got a lot of targets. He's just been getting targets after targets. Maybe that wasn't the best advice. Turned out to be good advice.
Yeah, Watson seems to be the wide receiver 1 there in that Green Bay Packers offense whenever everybody's healthy. But I still don't – what I saw yesterday from Christian Watson did not make me trust him, but it did make me excited for him, right? Like each and every week you can plug him in and you got a shot at a 70-yard touchdown. Maybe one of the best shots of any player in the league, but boy, do you also have a shot at just a big old goose with Jordan Love throwing those deep balls to him. Eric, how are you feeling about Christian Watson after yesterday?
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of the story arc for Christian Watson, right? Like, arguably, Romeo Doubs is probably going to be the more stable of the receiver assets in Green Bay, but it's going to be infinitely more fun to roster Christian Watson, right? Like, I mean, he clearly had the biggest game of the Green Bay receivers, and if it wasn't for that horse collar, could have had a monstrous game, right? So, like, for me, part of fantasy is just trying to make fun out of these dumpster fire games on Monday night sometimes, and so it'll be infinitely more fun to have Watson on your roster.
100%. We had a question in here from Grim Fan. Grim wanted to know Amari DiMercato, Deonta Foreman, Adam Thielen, and Josh Downs needs to start 3 of them. So one of those 4 is hitting the bench. There's one name I'm taking out of contention right away. Adam Thielen is in your starting lineup week in, week out at this point. I don't see how you can bench him. The other 3, it is relatively close here, though, with these names that are some of the hot waiver wire names this week. Eric, if you have to bench one of these 4, who's hitting the bench?
Where I sit right now, having not seen any Donta Foreman news in the last 3 hours since I checked, I don't know if he's actually going to be activated quite yet. So if that's the case, he's clearly the sit. You should only start players that are going to be in the game.
I'm with you. And I do expect Roschon Johnson to get first crack at lead back in the Chicago Bears offense with Khalil Herbert not in the picture for the time being. John Luke, who are you benching?
Yeah, it's going to be Foreman or DiMercato. I'd probably give it to Foreman given the injuries that are going to help DiMercato here.
I'm with you. And while I'm not excited for DiMercato necessarily, he should get the volume. It should be there. But I do think this Arizona offense is going to be a lot worse without James Conner. Just so much worse.
It's kind of like we said with James Conner all offseason, right? This might not be fun to watch, but if he's going to get the carries, you got to go that way.
And now it's less fun to watch because there's an undrafted free agent rookie running on that offense. Worse than James Conner. All right. Well, guys, we brought Eric here not just to make him talk poorly about the Arizona Cardinals offense, but also to play a game that we are calling Poll Perception. It's our OG game, and it's the game that tests our contestants' understanding of the public perception of fantasy football and NFL players. I've got 7 polls that I found online before this show started. I'm going to propose one of those polls to one of our contestants, asking them, for example, what percentage of people chose side A Saquon Barkley over side B DeAndre Hopkins? Our contestants are going to give me a percentage. One of them will. Let's say, JL, I asked you, you would give me
44%.
44%. The closer he is, the more points he's going to get. A max of 10 if he's exactly right, 15 if he's 1 away. Scales up within there. Now, Eric, before I reveal that answer, though, you're going to guess whether the actual answer is over or under John Luke's guess. Get that right, you're going to earn 2 points in that round. We're going to alternate back and forth who's answering the poll, who's guessing over under until we get to our 7th and final poll, at which point there is no more of this over under nonsense. It is just guessing a number. Whoever's closest gets 5, unless they're exactly right. 10 points is still on the table in that round. The contestant with the most points at the end of round 7 is our Poll Perception champion for today. And instead of Cole's Cash, we are giving away an entire family of Great Danes on today's show.
Gosh.
Mom,
how many are
Dad,
there?
5 puppies.
5 puppies. Wow. All healthy?
All healthy. And they come with a
Incredible.
giant straw igloo delivered to your backyard. We'll build it. They live in there. And you just have to
Amazing.
feed them, care for them, and watch them and love them for the rest of your life.
And their lives.
And their lives. Hopefully their lives. Hopefully not the rest of your life. Not that I'm wishing demise upon the Great Danes, but I'm definitely not wishing demise upon you, Eric or John Luke.
Just math.
All right, we got one more question in here from Eric before we get into our game. Eric said, Eric's Unite, not the prettiest, but PPR. Would you start Alexander Mattison or Dameon Pierce this week? So, Eric, what would you give in the form of advice to your fellow Eric?
Madison has is going up against.
This is not the first
Chicago.
time I've been called not the prettiest Eric. Look, for me, these are guys that are in pretty similar situations overall. They're getting kind of 55 to 65% of the work any given week. I do think that Dameon Pierce is the more talented runner. And I also think that we're going to continue to see this Houston O-line improve week over week as they slowly start to get pieces back. So these guys are right next to each other in my rankings, but I've got Pierce ahead by 2 spots.
Pierce ahead by 2 spots. John Luke, you were just running through it saying Alexander Mattison has the Bears, Dameon Pierce against the Saints. Is that affecting your start sit choice here?
It's affecting it a bit here. The matchups, Chicago has been poo-poo butt water against everyone, their defense at least. And New Orleans their defense has not been too bad against running backs. So this week, while it is close, I think I'll lean Madison.
against the league leading PPBW defense. That's an advanced defensive analytic.
Points
Poo-poo
per
butt
Buttwater. Yeah, of course.
Yep. So we got one Madison and one Pierce from you, but it sounds like for both of you guys, they're pretty close. Scamper's coming in saying New Orleans run D is tough. Definitely can be tougher than at least the Bears defense. Grimfan also pointing out the Cardinals did get Tony Jones from the Saints. That's not affecting my judgment of DeMercado, probably because I'm already not that excited, but I do expect DeMercado to probably get, again, I said it with Roschon Johnson, first crack at being the lead back here while Connor's out. Do any of you guys have interest in Tony Jones, or does it detract from your DeMercado excitement?
There's not much excitement there.
Yeah, especially not for this week, right? Tony Jones isn't going to get in and get up to speed in this offense that quickly.
Our friend with the Finnish name is back. Mr. D's Nuts wants to know Montgomery for Devontae Adams, full PPR. John Luke, are you trading away David Montgomery for Devontae Adams?
Yeah, I would. Yeah, Devontae Adams is a star. Lock in that wide receiver, and then you can make up the running back position.
Eric, are you in agreement here? Montgomery's been a surprise so far to start the year with just how good he's been for fantasy.
Yeah, I would definitely take the Adams side as well. Obviously, Montgomery has gotten off to a white hot start. I've traded him away myself in a couple of leagues because I do think once he gets healthy, we're going to hit that kind of midpoint of the season and see Gibbs get incrementally more work. Not a ton, right? I don't think he overtakes Montgomery in his backfield, but enough to where right now is probably close to peak value. So like moving on from Montgomery after that big week last week.
Eric and you said, I meant the choice between these running backs. Don't worry, Eric. You're the prettiest. The prettiest, Eric.
Out of all the Erics.
I love
you,
it.
Sir, are the prettiest. Well, prettiest, Eric. We are about to get into our game of poll perception here. I explained how it worked already. And Eric, you are up first in today's game. Are you ready for your first poll?
I'm ready.
Okay, here we go. I'm going to need a percentage from you. What I want to know is, which side do you prefer in redraft? Side A, Breece Hall. Side B, Isaiah Pacheco. What percentage of people said side A, Breece Hall in this poll?
Wow. I believe, at least heading into last week and then solidified by their performances, there's going to be a fair amount of momentum on the Breece Hall side of this.
About time.
I'll say 57% went side A.
57% want side A, Breece Hall.
Lock it in.
Okay, 57%. John Luke, what percentage of people do you think want Breece Hall in this trade?
Irrelevant. I'll take the over.
That is what I meant, and thank you for taking the over on that one. We got 57% from Eric, the over from John Luke. And it's a reminder to everybody watching, if you've never been here with us before, play along. Throw your guesses in the chat. If you're very right, we'll shout you out. If you're very wrong, we'll also shout you out, just in a more mocking tone. Just like that. And if it's a very average guess, we'll all just move on with our day and probably never think about it again. All right. The guesses from the chat. Scampers came in with 96%. Andrew coming in with 72% for Hall. Dame with 88%. Craig's got 90 in here. Ladarius with 81. Albert with 69%. Grim with 37%. Tim thinks it is 71%. And Herm said probably like 90%, but TBH, it's close if you think about it. Thinking maybe the value is close, but he thinks the poll is at 90%. Well, the actual percentage of people that chose Breece Hall over Isaiah Pacheco in this poll was 95%. 95% on the Breece Hall side here over Isaiah Pacheco.
Wow.
I don't know if it's the stink around Pacheco or the excitement around Breece being unleashed, but this was heavy on that side. Unfortunately, no points for you, Eric. John Luke, that's going to be 2 in your bank. Eric, which side of this are you preferring? Are you on the Breece Hall side like the majority of the people answering this poll?
I am. That's why I put a greater than 50% chance on it. Apparently, Herms was right. Not a whole lot of people are thinking about this, according to his analysis. Look, it's a great game coming against Denver, which Vance Joseph is the prince that was promised for fantasy football purposes, right? So, like, we're talking about a ceiling game performance. I do think we're going to see him continue to split work in this backfield, right? Like, obviously, the shell of Dalvin Cook is there, but also Michael Carter is still getting touches for some random reason, right? So, like, he'll have these ceiling games, but I also think that, over the course of the entire season, he's probably only going to be incrementally ahead of Isaiah Pacheco. But right side by side, that I would certainly go on the Breece Hall side.
Isaiah Pacheco, to your point, is currently averaging 2.5 points more per game than Breece Hall. And I know that sounds small, but if you expand that out over a season, that's a decent chunk. Right now, it's just the difference between like RB8 and RB13. We put that at the end of the season. It's getting a little bit dicier. Or sorry, not RB8 and RB13. RB13 and where's Breece? So like RB20-ish, I think.
I think that part of that is just a small sample size.
Yeah, for sure.
It's 5 games. Breece Hall was limited to start out in the season. I think what's really affecting this is going to be that draft capital, right? That name, that Breece Hall name. People had a lot of high hopes for Breece Hall, even if they were worried about the injury concern. I mean, as recently as last year, people have been hyped on Breece Hall and can remember what he looked like. So yeah, I think this makes sense to me. I think what's interesting to see where Pacheco lands in redraft come next season.
Absolutely. I was going to ask you guys, do you think Pacheco is being underrated right now? He's been relatively consistent, especially the last 3 weeks has shown up and been very startable in one of the best offenses in the NFL year in, year out, seems to be the lead guy, but it doesn't feel like people are talking about him as a must start kind of running back. Eric, are you viewing him as maybe jumping up a tier by season's end, or is he going to kind of smooth back down to what we expected from him?
Yeah, I think this is more just about market perception than anything else, right? Like that kind of steady contribution that we've gotten from Pacheco so far is largely what I've got him projected out for down the stretch run. It's just, most people look at this Kansas City offense and think of it as a pass first offense. Obviously, with Mahomes back there, they think of Jerick McKinnon as the receiving option, even though Pacheco's, slowly getting some work as a pass catcher. So I don't know if anything, materially changes about his fantasy value. I think what's subject to change is how he's perceived in the fantasy space.
Shout out Mr. Scampers for the closest guess on that one. 96%, only 1 percentage point away.
Nice.
Damn, Cat. Nice job. Before we get into our next poll, JL has a small lead here. We're going to look at some of these questions. A and J Films in here wanted to know, would you trade CD, Joe Mixon, George Kittle for Travis Kelce? Or is that too much? That's far too much.
Too much.
Too much for you guys as well?
Yeah, way too much.
It is.
I mean, I honestly think CD for Kelce is a fair trade. Like just those two players straight up.
Yeah, and I would probably land on the CD side.
I would take the CD side, yeah.
But like throwing those other two players in there is way too much for me.
Yeah.
A and J.
Yeah, especially given the injury to Kelce this past week, it's just not worth it.
I mean, maybe given the spike week from Kittle, you might even be able to peel CD out of that offer altogether. See if you can't get over to Kelce for Mixon and Kittle.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea. I'd be a lot more comfortable with that. It's the CD piece holding me up in there. Notorious TBG wanted to know, are the Cowboys D a bench this week going up against the Chargers offense? Are you benching the Cowboys this week against the high-powered Chargers offense, Eric?
Probably not. This is still a very capable defense, and with how back-asswards fantasy scoring is for defenses, you're really just looking for turnovers and touchdowns, and whether or not it's against the Chargers and their high-flying offense, I think that the Cowboys defense has a pretty good shot of that in any given week. So, and unless, there's a golden streaming option out there, I'm probably going to stick with Dallas this week.
A trade question in here from Brad. Brad wanted to know, I have Cooper Kupp and Justin Jefferson. Kenneth Walker is pretty much my only running back I'm confident in. Do you think Justin Jefferson and Brian Robinson Jr. for Bijan and Mike Evans is a worthwhile trade for that team? So Justin Jefferson currently injured. John Luke, are you making this move?
Yeah, I could make this move if you can get it done. The way I'd be thinking about it is trading Justin Jefferson for Bijan Robinson and then Brian Robinson for Mike Evans, which might be a little backwards, but I'm doing that based off of where their values are. Yeah, where their values are. And when I look at it that way, I mean, with the news of Justin Jefferson likely missing 4 weeks, I think the Bijan Evans side really comes out on top. I don't know if you'll be able to get that done.
Sir friend Ricky Butt stopping by saying hi. What's up, Rick Butt? Welcome in,
good?
my friend. Glad to have you here. And Scampers was agreeing with us on that Kelsey one, saying it is a bit too much for Kelsey in his opinion.
Yep.
All right, Jill, you've got a slight lead, and it is your turn. Are you ready for your next bowl?
Yep.
Let's do this. What I want to know is which side do you prefer in half PPR dynasty if you are a contender? Side A is Sam Laporta. Side B is Pat Freiermuth and 2 late 2024 firsts.
Oh my God. Dynasty Sam Laporta feels like an impossible thing to try and value. 2 firsts plus Freiermuth plus nothing else for Sam Laporta.
That nothing else is what always gets me. For some reason, Joe, that reminded me of a stand-up comedian I saw at my friend's church when I was like 8. And he tells a story where he goes to a hot dog cart, and the guy behind the hot dog cart says, "What do you want on your hot dog?" And he says, "What can I have?" And he goes, "Well, you can have mustard or nothing or both."
Or both.
Yeah. And he said, "Give me both." I want mustard and nothing.
And
See how you
nothing.
pull that one off. Well, JL, 2 late firsts, Pat Freiermuth, and nothing for Sam Laporta.
38%.
38% on the Sam Laporta side.
Yep.
This Sharpie's dead, so we're just writing in indentation
Nice.
right now.
Just an exercise.
It's just indenting. I have to like squint to see what I wrote down there. Eric, do you think the actual answer is over or under John Luke's guess of 38%?
Oh man, I'm still rocked by you just breaking the fourth wall and talking about your device of a worthless Sharpie. That's probably exactly where I would put that line, which is maddening. So thank you, JL.
There is another option. You can queen B if you would like to do so.
And it's just
never been hit, but you can go for the glory.
Man, there's so much Sam Laporta hype out there.
Sam Laporta.
Look, those 2 firsts are pretty handsome capital in a very appealing draft class. So I agree that it's the majority of people that would want that side of it. And I'll take the under here. I think more people want those firsts.
The under from Eric on this one. Well, we got some guesses in the chat. Herm's coming in with 100%. And then says, if it's not 100%, I will riot. The last time the chat rioted, we had problems.
Got to talk to you about your reasons for rioting, Herms. Come on.
You need more of them.
You need more. Yeah.
In here with 71%. Grim fan with 65%. Albert thinks it's 54%. Ricky Butt says it is 41%. Scampers wants a hot dog right now with crispy onions on it. But Darius says 47%. Dame with 55%. Craig coming in with a hot 60.
Don't like that.
A hot 60. I forgot what I was doing. I just started thinking about which 60-year-old I knew was the hottest.
And
I've been thinking about crispy onions.
Where did we land?
I'll get back to you. We got some contenders up there. All right. Well, the actual percentage of people that chose Sam Laporta over Pat Freiermuth, 2 firsts and nothing, was 43%. John Luke. That is going to put you within 5 exactly.
Nice.
5 points. And unfortunately, no points for you, Eric, on that one. The score is going to be 5-2. Sorry, no, it is going to be 7-0 in JL's favor after that poll. I almost just gave Eric the points for JL's round right there. Eric, is this out of control for Sam Laporta to even be at near 50% here against 2 firsts and Pat Freiermuth?
I mean, to me, it is. Clearly, to the voting public, it is not. Look, like we've seen a fantastic start to Sam Laporta's career, right? Like usually we're more accustomed to tight ends taking a good amount of time to ramp up to the NFL level. So
any
for
day
the fact that he's
Troutman.
Yeah, exactly. So the fact that he's contributing this way is remarkable, right? So I certainly understand the excitement around that, but like let's not forget that Pat Freiermuth is also a pretty nice young tight end prospect, and 2 firsts next year. That is an absolute haul, right? Like you can do a ton with that. So maybe I'm just a little too. Yeah, exactly. You can maybe draft the next Sam Laporta. So maybe I'm a little too forward looking, but those 2 firsts are what swung me.
Yeah, the 2 firsts are a little bit too rich for my blood. Herms in here said, "All right, I'm a head out." And Rick Butts says it's definitely out of control. JL, while Herms is rioting and Rick Butts, I think, is on his way to join him. Are you in agreement with Eric here that this might be a bit too much hype for Sam Laporta, or are you in on this rookie tight end phenom through 5 weeks?
I think the hype is warranted. I think he's a talented tight end. I don't think the value is on his side in that trade, though. So I don't think because I'm not on the Sam Laporta side of this trade doesn't mean I'm not hyped against or hyped for Sam Laporta.
We got the fantasy draft room stopping by. I think it's our friend Cody said like button hit, and then Cody coming in saying double account like button hit, one for every other thumb I have.
Ooh.
Cody's got 4 thumbs. Who has 4 thumbs and hit the like button twice? Cody did.
This guy.
Lamar in here. No, that's not Lamar. That's Lamron. What's up, Lamron? Said, yeah, so pumped for my FYF group.
What up?
Welcome in, my friend. All right. Well, after that, we are moving on to our third poll, round 2. Eric, are you ready for your poll?
Wake up, Eric.
I'm ready.
Okay, here's what we got. Which side do you prefer in a 14-team PPR dynasty league? Side A is Garrett Wilson, CJ Stroud, and a 25 third. Side B is Cooper Kupp, Brock Purdy, a 25 first, and a 24 second. What percentage of people chose side A in this poll?
I think this deal is pretty equitable on its face. I would probably prefer the Garrett Wilson side, especially in a dynasty context. So I'll say that side gets a thin majority at 52%.
52%. Final answer, locking that in?
Final answer.
Okay, John Luke, do you think the actual percentage is over or under Eric's guess of 52%?
52% on the Garrett Wilson side. CJ Stroud. So Garrett Wilson against Cooper Kupp. I'd rather have Garrett Wilson by a mile. CJ Stroud over Brock Purdy. It's pretty even. 2025 third for a 2025 first and a 2024 second. I don't think that's. I don't think that's enough. I think he went with 52.
He went with 52.
52.
I'll take. That's a good one. I'll take the over.
JL taking the over on Eric's guess of 52%. We got some answers in the chat. Dame coming in with 58%. So in relative agreement with you. Scamper says 81% because Purdy hate. Herm says, I think it's 65%, but I'd rather have side B. He wants the Brock Purdy Cooper Kupp side.
Really?
Albert in here was 63%. Craig was 60%. Ricky Butts was 61%. And Herm says, I've officially been Purdy pilled. Between him and those early picks, I'm like, I bet. Give me Purdy. Grim Fan coming in with 63% as well. Well, the actual percentage of people that chose the Garrett Wilson, CJ Stroud, and 25 third side of this trade was 48%. Eric, that is within 5, is going to earn you 5 points. You were exactly right that the margin was going to be 48 to 52. You just had them flipped a little bit. Luckily, it was close in the middle. Are you taking the Garrett Wilson side of this one, Eric? I believe you said.
Yeah, I would. For me, I try to live by a pretty hard and fast set of rules around age guidelines for different positions, and Cooper Kupp is relatively old by NFL wide receiver standards, and you can still get pretty handsome value for him in the dynasty trade market, right? So where I had Cooper Kupp, I've been trading him or trying to trade him. I would much rather get 2 very young, very promising upside candidates and move around some draft capital, right? Like never love sending out a first rounder, but if we're talking 2 years out, hopefully by that point, these are guys that are that I'm getting back in Wilson and Stroud that are really hitting their stride, and the value of that 25 first rounder is incrementally lower. So would definitely prefer to be on the Wilson side by a pretty good margin.
John Luke, it sounded like you were on that side as well here. Herm's in the chat and some others in the chat kind of voicing they like the Purdy side, but are you sticking with Wilson and Stroud? This is one quarterback as far as the poll told us as well.
Ooh, okay. Yeah, I guess the quarterbacks don't really play too much of a factor here. If anything, I think that would put me even more on the side of Garrett Wilson and CJ Stroud, because I don't know if Brock Purdy, I think Brock Purdy will be a starting quarterback for a while. It looks like he's got it. Like, it doesn't look like a fluke, but still, that lack of draft capital worries me. CJ Stroud has looked fantastic right out of the gate. I think he's probably going to have more value even one quarterback league. But Garrett Wilson really is the piece here that I want.
Too much value on Garrett Wilson.
Oh, just way
to give
too
him
much,
up for a future first and future second right
Yeah.
there. I get it, but man, it's tempting, but I just don't like draft picks that far out. I want next year's draft picks, or don't even send me your 25s. I just don't want to look at them right now. Unless you're giving me a real big discount, because I'm going to have to sit on it. All right. Well, the score is now 7-5. Eric coming back strong with that poll. Before we get into the next one, Grimfan had a question for us. Wanted to know Curtis Samuel or Rashee Rice in half PPR. And I think I know the answer to this one, but full PPR, Kittle or Goddard. So we'll start with the Rashee Rice versus Curtis Samuel in half PPR. John Luke, who you throwing into the lineup this week?
Is this a start sit or is this a trade?
Start sit, I think.
Start sit, okay. In that case, let's see. Rashee Rice has got Denver, and Curtis Samuel has got Atlanta this week. They got to go Rashee Rice.
I'm going to go the other way on this one. I'm going to take Curtis Samuel. 2 weeks in a row as a wide receiver 14 or better, and seems to be the second read for Sam Howell after Terry McLaurin. I'm not too scared of the Atlanta defense, but I'm
scared of both of the offenses in that game.
Yeah. This the one thing I like here is that the Commanders have shown that they're not afraid to let Sam Howell throw the ball 50 times in a game. They let him do it once. They might let him do it again. The Atlanta's going to do their best to stop that. I just have more trust in Curtis Samuel's involvement. His targets seem secure. Rashee Rice, I could see him getting 2 targets in this game, and I wouldn't be too shocked. Where are you going, Eric? Break the tie.
I get to break the tie. I'm going to go with boring-ass Curtis Samuel.
Yes,
his role in the offense is a bit more secure than Rashee Rice. Although Rice is a coming on, right? Like, we're seeing him get more and more playing time. He's still not, getting a pile of snaps or routes, but we asked this question in a month, it might be a very different answer. The thing that really pushes me over for Curtis Samuel is I am afraid of this Atlanta defense, specifically their perimeter cornerbacks. AJ Terrell is playing like the Pro Bowl or all pro version of himself in 2021. Jeff Okudah has really stepped up since he returned. So they've actually been funneling a lot of their passing attempts towards the center of the field, towards the slot receivers and towards the tight ends. Obviously, Curtis Samuel is a huge part of that offense in terms of his route running over the middle of the field. So kind of a slot receiver funnel when you're facing the Atlanta Falcons. And I think we're going to see Curtis Samuel be the beneficiary of that this week.
And if you go back and watch how, even without the defense funneling targets to the center of the field, that's where Howell likes to throw the ball. He likes throwing the ball over the center of the field to Curtis Samuel, to Logan Thomas. I like it, Eric. Well, we got one more question in here from our friend Midnight. Well, actually, we didn't answer the second half of Grimm's. Kittle or Goddard? I'm going Kittle. Anyone starting Goddard over Kittle this week?
I'm going Kittle as well.
Yeah, probably go Kittle.
Eagles face the Jets, which is not the easiest defensive matchup. Midnight in here wanted to know, in full PPR, would you trade Pollard for Kamara? He likes Kamara's favorable schedule. Pollard coming off a disappointing week. Are you doing this, Eric?
I am not doing this. I would still want to hold on to Tony Pollard. It's increasingly closer, right? I think what we'll see happen is as Carr continues to get more and more healthy, he'll be able to push the ball down the field a little bit more effectively, and we'll stop seeing these super high pass volume or target volume days from Kamara. But this is a conversation right now, and I wouldn't have thought it would be the case a few short weeks ago.
Sound like you agreeing with Eric, hold Pollard?
I would probably stick to whatever side you're on here. I would prefer Kamara over Pollard in a vacuum, but I wouldn't make this trade. I don't like these trades. They're too close, and it doesn't feel like you're getting any real advantage.
It does just make one person sad. One of you is going to be sad. There's a 50-50 chance it's you, unless you're that much smarter than your league mate. All right. Well, guys, we're moving on to our next poll. Eric with a big comeback on that one, but it is John Luke's turn to try to extend his lead. JL, you ready?
Yep.
Okay, here's your next poll. Which side do you prefer in 12-team Superflex Dynasty? Devon Achane and a 24 first mid to late, or side B, Christian McCaffrey? What percentage of people said side A, Devon Achane, in a mid to late 2024 first? What's it going to be, John Luke?
I'm going to go with 68%.
68% on the Devon Achane side?
Yes.
68%
Yes,
locked
68%.
in. Eric, do you think the actual answer is over or under John Luke's guess of 68%?
Did this poll
Picking
come
up
out
the
this
dead
morning?
Sharpie. Oh, it came back. Forgot
The
there was a
Sharpie
wall right in front of me.
is upon
That's
us.
right back at you.
Yeah. I'm assuming that this is a poll that came out prior to this morning's news. So there's probably going to be a good amount of votes on side A.
And Eric, you're right. I should have revealed that information, but this was from before the injury news came out that he was going to be missing significant time.
Okay. Was it from after this week's slate of games?
It was 24 hours ago is when this poll was posted.
Between.
Neat. What was JL's number? 68?
68.
Sheesh.
2 less than 70.
Very good number.
4 more than 64.
I'm going to go under this number, but I don't feel good about it.
Eric taking the uncomfortable under.
Good about that.
Under JL uncomfortably on this one is our guest, Eric. We got some guesses in the chat as well. Mr. Scamper's in here with 36%. Ricky Butts on the other side with 63. Said flip-flop that cat. Dame with 46%. Ladarius with 55.
Medium guess.
Albert with 45%. Cody coming in with 72.
Decent guess.
Midnight with 44%. Ricky Butts says it's 69%. And Scamper says, 81%.
Much better.
81% is what they're changing their answer to. Well, the correct answer, the percentage of people that prefer the Devon Achane side of this with a first-round pick over Christian McCaffrey is 57%. John Luke, that is 11 percentage points away, which is going to earn you 1 point, bringing you up to 8. Eric, you correctly picked the under, which is going to earn you 2 points, making this game very close. John Luke has a score of 8. Eric, you now have a score of 7.
I feel like the Falcons right now.
Well, Mr. Falcons, what are you doing in this situation? Are you taking Devon Achane in the first, or are you taking Christian McCaffrey?
This is tough. This is really going to depend on my team. I don't know that there's any other way about that I could make this decision.
27 years old, getting up there in running back years.
CMC is gonna hit a cliff at some point. When that happens, it's gonna be tough. If I had to guess, I would say probably 2 to 3 years is when we'll start to see his value stop increasing. And that might not be when his production falls off. Really what I look at with dynasty value is like, where is their value appreciating over time? Because almost every player goes in like some sort of high level arc over time. So I think CMC, it's probably time to move him. But if you got a sick team, he still looks fantastic. So I don't know.
Yeah, he looks sick as hell, bro. If your team is sick. Yeah, too sick, too cool, for school. Eric, are you keeping CMC on your team, or are you moving him for Achane in a first?
Yeah, only in the case where I've got the illest team out there, right? Like if you have a surefire contending window right now, it's fine to go with the CMC side. But I mentioned it earlier when we were talking about Cooper Kupp. Like I've got these hard and fast age guidelines around different positions because I want to do my best to get out on a player oftentimes a year too early as opposed to a year too late. And it's not like this is meager compensation, right? Like Devon Achane, even this most recent injury aside, is still a premium running back asset in terms of the dynasty context. I've already expressed my love for first round picks. So I would happily go with the Achane side in the vast majority of cases, unless I'm legitimately a running back away this year.
Unless you got that illest squad. Who sang that song? I know it featured Riff Raff, but I can't remember who the main artist was. The illest.
Can we talk about Devon Achane for a second? And
oh my God, he's so fast.
So fast.
Every video I see of him, I'm just like, It looks comical. It looks like he's on a treadmill that no one else is on because his legs aren't moving any faster than everybody else. He's just getting further away the entire
He's on like
time.
the moving sidewalk at the airport.
That's exactly what it looks like, is that he's running on a moving sidewalk.
Do you guys think that he is going to be able to retain value long term in this league in for fantasy, or do we have like another Tariq Cohen on our hands?
I think he's the best running back in NFL history.
Elaborate.
I'm lying, but I am excited about Devon Achane. I think what Mike McDaniel is showing here in Miami is that you can build a successful offense around a bunch of small, fast guys. They get into space and they outrun everybody.
Point he always wanted to prove.
I think it is a point he wanted to prove. I think he said, like, watch this. Look what I can do with all these guys. And it's just working. They've got more yards than any other team in NFL history through the first 5 weeks of the season. Achane and Mostert, fast, small guys are a big part of that. I think this is a perfect fit for him. And if he stays in this system, like, dude has RB1, like top 12, top 10 type of running back upside on this Dolphins team. So as long as he's there, that's how I'm viewing him. Is as I'll probably draft him as a top 12 running back next year. Because full transparency, Raheem Mostert's getting old, man, and I don't expect him to be on that Dolphins team again next year. He might just like disintegrate before the end of the season.
Yeah, I mean, Raheem Mostert has been old, right? he's already into his 30s. And the point that you laid out is really it, right? Like, we're talking about a rookie running back who obviously is very skilled athletically, but more specifically, we can anticipate him to be in this Miami system for the next 3 to 4 years, maybe more if they extend him. We'll see what kind of the running back market does in the next couple of years. But if nothing else, like, I'm looking for 3 to 4 years of productivity out of a running back. So to already get this in year one and know that he's going to be part of this Mike McDaniel system for the foreseeable future. I mean, he is a premium running back asset in Dynasty for me.
Ricky Butson here said, really curious how Achane's efficiency holds up when he joins us on or joins the rest of us on Earth. I saw a post on Reddit recently that was like, I took out Achane's largest runs from each of his games to see how it affected his yards per carry, which is currently sitting at something absurd like 13. If you take out his longest run from each game, which is like 70 plus yards each time, he's still sitting at a 7.5 yards per carry, which is above every other running back in the league with similar touches. He's doing disgusting things on the ground right now. But I think it's the system. I just think it's a great match that Mike McDaniel put together down there. The score is 8-7 after that one. Scamper's letting us know he was equally wrong with both of his guesses, just the wrong direction each way. Eric, I believe this is back to you now for your next poll. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Who is the better undefeated team? Side A is the Eagles. Side B is the 49ers. What percentage of people said side A Eagles?
I don't know how to feel about this. I think that public sentiment on these teams compared to the actual quality of these teams is going to differ pretty wildly. I feel like most people enjoy hating on the Eagles and generally the greater Philadelphia area.
They bring it on themselves. They ask for it.
Point proven.
Yeah. I'm gonna go
Philly.
pretty slight on side A. I'll say that 39% chose side A.
39%. We got a bunch of Liberty Bell haters in Eric's mind.
I honestly think it's just their love language. I think that's just how Philadelphia shows love.
Screw you.
They wouldn't have it any other way.
That's what I think it is. It's just like every time I meet someone from Philly, I just imagine like a tough guy mentality.
I'm walking here, except in Philly.
It's like Kevin Hart.
So incredibly true. I married somebody from Philadelphia, and like the cultural clash just couldn't be more different. Like, I'm doing like the friendly Texas, like waving to neighbors and whatnot, and she's like, "Who are they? Do you know them? Why are you waving?"
Oh, that's incredible.
Oh, no.
All right. Well, Eric locked in 39% on the Eagles. John Luke,
neighbors,
are you taking the over or under
mean.
on Eric's guess here?
What was the guess again? It was 39.
39.
I wrote 44% down. which doesn't make me feel too good about this because that's a pretty good line. Then I'll take the over still.
Jail taking the over. I thought for sure you were about to just say, I'm taking the under after your guess was over. We have some answers in the chat on this one. Mr. Scamper said 33% Eagles, incorrect. And they're wrong. Midnight with 42%. Herm said 12% because Eagles fans are Eagles fans.
That's very
Rick
true.
coming in with 27. Ladarius with 38. Cody saying 31%. Albert thinks it's just under half at 49. Dame coming in with 33.
Too low,
and Tim
Dame.
said 0.
Get out of here, Tim.
0% on that side.
Herm is making a lot of sense, though. I got to say. Eagles fans are Eagles fans.
They are.
And let me just tell you, Herm's logic was bulletproof because the actual percentage of people here was 13%, 1 percentage point above Herm's. People are buying into that 49ers hype right now. And I think what it is this Eagles team, they've won every game. But have you watched an Eagles game and thought, man, this offense is humming? I haven't thought that a single time it hasn't felt like they've been the Eagles we saw last year. That offense we expected, the defense we expected. The secondary is not a top secondary in the league through the first 5 weeks. You look on Sleeper, it's a green matchup. They're giving up points to wide receivers out there. I think that plays into it. Eric, which one of these teams do you think is better, the Eagles or the 49ers?
I still think the Eagles are better. They've taken a step back on the defensive front. I think we're going to see them kind of get back into form as we go down the stretch run. We already talked about all of the Brock Purdy love or uncertainty. I mean, it's a legitimate question mark in terms of his ability to carry this team through a playoff run, right? So far, so good. He's been great. I don't want to catch any of that heat, but it's fair to say that it's an open question. Whereas with Jalen Hurts, you have a quarterback that can impact the game in so many ways. And really the reason why I think we saw such a wide disparity is all of those games with the Eagles, including ones where they had to go to overtime against the Commanders, none of them were ones where they were just absolutely stomping all over what at the time was considered an NFC contender, like the Cowboys on Sunday night, right? So I think it has as much to do with the kind of quality of opponent and their ability to go out and just run it down their necks in those games. So this is a very close comparison, practically speaking, but I'll go with the Eagles side by a hair.
Tim was our next closest in the chat with his answer of 0%. Very close to that one. Only 12 percentage points away, Tim. You and Herms were the only ones who would score in that, or 13 percentage points away. Nice job, my friend. Lucas in here had a question for us before we get into our penultimate round. How about Achane for Pacheco and Dobbs?
No, it's too rich.
Even with Achane expected to miss some time?
No, I would rather have Pacheco and Dobbs. Sorry. I would make that trade, I guess, if you're reading for that way. Yeah, I think Pacheco and Achane are probably similarly valued. Maybe Achane after this week has moved ahead.
Man, I do prefer Achane out of all of these players the most, but the injury
over Dobbs
into this. Over Romeo Dobbs, yeah, absolutely. With Christian Watson back in that lineup, Achane is the number 3 running back on the season so far in that Miami Dolphins offense, and Romeo Dobbs just got sidelined for Christian Watson in a game where he should have been peppered with a couple more targets, short range. It's close, but I think I stick on the Achane side. What are you doing here, Eric?
I'm actually with JL. I'm going to go with the Pacheco and Dobbs side. Look, depth is highly underrated in terms of fantasy football, and I think you're adding to your depth overall. Obviously, you now have to navigate the upcoming weeks with Achane on the shelf, but also, my perspective along with Achane is this is a guy that's going to get 10 to 12 touches every single week. He's skilled enough to where he can do amazing things and be the RB1 in any given week with those limited touches. But there's also going to be weeks where he's going to turn in, 11 touches overall for 45, 55 yards, right? So if you have him in redraft, you just have to have him in your lineup so you can catch those good weeks when they come across. Now we're not going to see the larger sample to kind of materialize that over at least the next month, but on the whole, I think your roster is going to be better off from a depth standpoint going with the Pacheco and Dobbs side.
Ricky in here wants to know Roschon Johnson or Amari DiMercado rest of season. John Luke, who's it going to be out of these two?
I think I'd rather have Roshan Johnson.
Me too. I think Roshan has value when Khalil Herbert comes back. I think DeMercado has no value when James Conner comes back. Yeah. So I'll take the permanent value over there. All right, we are moving into our penultimate poll. John Luke, this one is yours. You have a slight lead of 8-7. Are you ready?
Aye, Cap.
What I want to know is which player would you prefer in Dynasty? Side A, T. Higgins. Side B, DJ Moore. What percentage of people chose T. Higgins?
Ooh, what's their age difference? I think Higgins has got a year or two on Moore.
What's my age again?
Or a year younger or two. I'll go with 61%.
61% on the T. Higgins side?
Yes.
Locking it in?
59%.
59%. Locking that in?
Locking that in.
Okay. Well, Eric, the actual percentage of people is what you have to figure out. Is it over or under John Luke's guess of 59%?
Can I queen bee between his two guesses? No, I think this is going to be an under. The age difference is a consideration. It's not huge, right? Like DJ Moore is still 26. I think T. Higgins is 24, might be turning 25. But the thing that really swings these polls is recency, in my opinion. So with T. Higgins being injured and not really performing prior to that point, DJ Moore obviously exploded on an island game for the whole world to see last week. I think we're going to see people shade more to the DJ Moore side. So I'll go under 59% on side A.
Under from Eric. We got guesses in the chat. Midnight with 55. Cody Smith coming in with 42%. Mr. Butts thinks that it is 48. Tim coming in with 45. Ladarius says 47%. Well, the actual percentage of people that chose T. Higgins over DJ Moore in this poll was 59%. John Luke, your switch at the end made it exactly right. 10 points for you and a dagger to the heart of Eric right at the end.
You could have queen beat that for all the glory.
He almost did. I thought you were going to.
It.
Eric,
right
you said it out loud.
Oh my God. It was right on the tip of your lip.
I'm even upset. I'm just impressed.
Well, JL, that gives you a pretty nice lead here of 18-7.
The best day of my life.
Unfortunately, this game is out of hand, but you can get it to 17-18 if you get this last poll exactly right.
And keep me from getting 28 points.
You can stop JL from extending this lead even further. You guys ready for the last poll here?
Yep.
That's it.
You got pen and paper ready?
Yep.
Perfect. Who is the worst team in the NFL? Side A is Panthers. Side B is Patriots. Side C is Broncos. And side D is Bears.
Cardinals.
What percentage of people said Panthers?
Panthers.
Give you guys a second to figure that out. While they are getting their answers down, I want to remind everybody, if you are looking for some week 5 betting tips coming up right after this, we've got Better Sports Betting with Dan Servadidio and Howard Bender right here on the Better Sports Network. And then tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern time, you can join the Tour Junkie show to get prepped for some of your golf action this upcoming week. You guys got your answers ready?
Yep.
Ready.
Let's see them. 59% from John Luke and
29.
29% from John Luke. And is that 31 from Eric?
That is 31. JL,
Okay.
did you write that so that your camera would invert it? You madman.
No, that was my answer to the last poll was 59%.
He just inverted his camera.
Yeah.
Oh.
I think there's a button that does that. All right. Well, we got some guesses in the chat here as well. Ricky coming in with 59% and also saying the Vikings are the worst team in the league. Ricky has 36%. Scampers with 69. Ladarius with 33. Cody Smith with 22. Midnight with 23. Tim coming in with 35%.
Oh.
Well, the actual percentage of people that said the Panthers are the worst team in the league. I am not effing around. It is 31%. Eric, you have made the score of this game 17-18 with back-to-back nailed predictions, guys. Nice job to end.
You couldn't let me have the glory. Now I win, but is that really what anyone's going to talk about?
No,
Oh my God.
we've
17 to
forgotten to
18.
the sands of time.
Well
What
done,
a
Eric.
guess there at the end, Eric. Tying this game up almost. It's a moral tie, is how I'm feeling.
Yeah.
JL, congratulations on your victory. You survived the garbage time comeback.
Let's go.
And Eric, I'm just going to call you Blake Bortles because that was the best
was
garbage time
incredible.
performance I've ever seen right there at the end.
Didn't
You just added 4 fourth quarter touchdowns whenever you were down by 50.
You would not be the first person to call me Blake Bortles.
Hey, I'd be complimented each and every time someone compared me to that beautiful man. Well, guys, that is going to be it for us today here on the Fantasy Football Game Show. We got a couple questions in here before we jump, though. I see Duffy in here had a question for us. Said traded Henry for Waddle and Brian Robertson because Jefferson went down. How we feeling about that? Look, Duffy, I don't mind this trade. I think Derrick Henry's value right now is still a little bit inflated by his ADP when what we've seen on the field and how the Titans have used him through 6 weeks isn't quite matching that. Eric, how do you feel about this?
Yeah, kind of setting the Jefferson stuff aside. Like obviously there's a need there, but I don't mind moving on from Derrick Henry. I think you're getting solid value from him with B-Rob back, and you're buying low on Waddle. We saw him score the early touchdown last week, and then was kind of second fiddle to everything else, namely Devon Achane. But getting Waddle at this point is probably as close to full value or full replacement level on what you're losing with Justin Jefferson as you can get.
John Luke, you agree in here?
Yeah, fully agree.
All right. Well, Gabriel in here had another question for us. Jay, I'm going to throw this one your way. Kamara and T. Higgins for Tony Pollard and standard. You doing this?
No, I stay on the Kamara Higgins side.
Yeah, that's far too much in my mind. Eric, you agree?
I would agree.
And then one more in here from our friend Leo. Leo wanted to know traded Kelsey for Puka, Mostert, and Devonta Smith. Is this a good trade? Has Ingram as well?
I mean, now, yeah, maybe.
Yeah, you can start Ingram. And I like all three of those guys you can plug into a starting lineup happily right away. These aren't just 3 bench level players. Eric, what do you think about this?
Yeah, I think this is fine. Even when Mostert was kind of a sort of throw-in type player before the Achane injury, I think this deal is reasonable. And now you're getting Mostert with whatever his share of Achane's work is, and he is also incredibly fast and relatively small, so he fits that McDaniel system perfectly.
All right, well, guys, if you are not already following our friend Eric, make sure you go and fix that right now. You can find him on Twitter at FantasyNav and check out his work as well everywhere where you can find him. You can find his work at drroto.com, Fantasy Football Diehards, and IBT Media. And then make sure you're checking out Get Green Screens as well, especially if you're a big college basketball guy. Eric is the college basketball guru going on in these fantasy streets right now. It's going to be it for us today, but we will be back tomorrow for the week finale of the Fantasy Football Game Show before we take a break for John Luke's wedding, and then we'll come back on Monday. Join us at 3 p.m. Eastern time tomorrow on Wednesday for one more game show before JL is a married man. Until then, though, we are out of here. Enjoy the rest of your Tuesday. See y'all on another time.
On Badage.